Part of what I'm trying to do in this class, within the severe limitations of the format of an audiovisual presentation where I have no interaction with the students, is to get you to think about different aspects of games in ways you probably haven't thought about them before. Because game design is very much about thinking, and you need to stretch your mind. So this time I'm going to talk about models, abstractions, and simulations. Models are something that's based on a few aspects of reality and wants to emulate it or show what it's like. So many games are models of some reality. It doesn't have to be a true reality. It can be a reality like The Lord of the Rings, a fictional reality. And models tend to show effects more than causes. What a player does in a game that's a model of some reality and what happens in the game tend to correspond to something in that reality. When I move a piece in a war game, it corresponds to that unit moving in the real world. Often these games are said to have a theme. That's what the model is about. That's what's being modeled. The opposite of this is abstractions, an abstract game. These games have no connection with reality. Most classic games like chess and checkers and Go are of this sort. Things that happen in the game and the actions that the players take have no correspondence to actions in the real world or in the fictional reality of any kind. So abstract games tend to be games purely of mechanics. There's no theme or even an atmosphere. An atmosphere is a story that's kind of tagged on or a setting that's tagged on, but it doesn't affect how the game is played or how it's designed. Many board games nowadays are abstract games where an atmosphere is tacked on. In video games, that occasionally happens, though more often than not, video gamers are content to have an abstract game, like a Match 3 game or Tetris. They're purely abstract games. Simulations are models taken to an extreme, where they want to appear to be strongly connected to reality. And you could say that simulations try to model causes rather than effects. In video games, this gets to the point of techno-fetishism. Brett Crocker tells a story about a simulation that his company was making that involved a submarine and operating a submarine. And at one point it was necessary for the operator of the submarine to turn a valve. Well, it was going to cost a lot of money to do the art and the animation and so on to show someone actually turning that valve. And they had a budget to meet. But upon investigation, they discovered that it wasn't actually important to show that the valve was being turned, but just to say that it was being turned so that people knew that's what should be done, and that was sufficient. So he got away from the fetish of using technology to show everything just the way it is. And he saved money for him and the client. Simulations should have a strong theme because they're representing something very closely, and they're often used for educational or training purposes. But they tend to be less game and more something for rote learning or training. Because if you're doing a game, you don't have to go to those extremes.